How's it going, guys? It's the Pixelated Pumpkin, and in today's video, I'm really excited because we'll be talking about Tekky Toys' Halloween 2021 complete lineup. Now, this is a very, very exciting video for me since they probably have well over 30 new props this year that I'm really excited to talk about. And Tekky Toys is definitely my favorite Halloween prop company ever. They really have been since I started in the community. They're just one of the best prop companies. I have so many props from them. Whether it's tabletops, life sizes, they're definitely my number one go-to company when buying props. They've always been my favorite company, and every year, no matter what year it is, probably one of their props is either my top 3 or number 1. Last year was Harvester of Souls, that was made by them, and this year is definitely Mr. Dark, and wouldn't you know it, that's also made by Tekky. So in today's video, I'll be looking at their complete Halloween 2021 lineup. There's so much to get through here, but just a quick exclusions that I'll be doing. So first of all, I won't be talking about any of the props I covered in the Party City video. I'll just be repeating myself, and that would pretty much make that whole video void and purposeless. So you could go check out that video if you want right now, leave it in the iCard, or you could check it out at the end of the video. But anyways, just won't be including them. And also any props being sold at Spirit this year, for example, Mr. Dark, W-Wraith, and Headless Jack won't be talked about here since I've either talked about them or there's no sneak peek or video of them yet, that's being Headless Jack. But with all that out of the way, I'm pretty sure there's no other exclusions here. They have so many amazing props this year, so I guess without any more hesitation, let's jump right into it.
So starting out, we have the Scarecrow holding lantern. Now, I'm going to go through these in no particular order here. I guess I'll start with all the life sizes first, though, and then we'll go into the tabletops. But be sure to stick around for the tabletops, since this is a very solid year for Tekky Toys tabletops. But starting off here with probably my favorite from them this year, besides Mr. Dark, being the Scarecrow holding lantern. I absolutely love the design of the Scarecrow here, easily one of their best. And I just want to say that Tekky Toys makes the best Scarecrow props hands down. No other company tops them, in my opinion. They're masters when it comes to making Scarecrows, and this guy here is certainly no exception. I'm definitely planning on buying this guy. He will be sold at Big Lots for $115 this year, which is just an amazing price for him considering what you're getting here, and he looks incredible. Now, I'm guessing his animation will probably only be this lantern movement because I don't know what his other arm will do. From what this picture shows here, it looks like it will have the same animation as the Flaming Scarecrow or the Inferno Scarecrow from Tekky Toys this year. But I don't know. I doubt it will since he's only being supported by one tiny pole, which is really the only thing I don't like here. Either which he was a full standing prop or they covered his pole up. When I get him, I'll probably just get a piece of cloth that makes it look like he's kind of just floating, or I'll put a piece of wood there just so it doesn't look like a black pole sticking out of the ground. I really wish there was something else there, but other than that, I don't know what else he'll do for his animation. At first I was thinking mouth movement, which would have been awesome, but from the picture that was taken in store of him at Big Lots, it looks like his head is plastic, so that's off the table, which is really unfortunate. I wish we got him with mouth animation. That would have been incredible, but I don't know. I still love it. Maybe the crow on his shoulder will talk. I don't know, though. I would love to see that, too. That would be a really cool idea. But again, we just don't know yet. There's no videos yet, which is really unfortunate. But as soon as this guy shows up at my local Big Lots, you can assure that I will be buying him immediately. There's definitely no hesitation from me on getting this guy. I absolutely love the design. I guess his main attraction here will be that he lights up, like the sign on him lights up, his lantern lights up, and his eyes glow. I like the lighting here a lot, actually. We don't really get too much lighting on Scarecrow props, but here, obviously, probably has some of the most lighting, which is nice. I do like the sign on his chest saying, "Keep out dead end." It adds a really nice touch to the prop. Really breaks up the prop a bit, and definitely one of my favorite features of this guy. Overall, he is absolutely incredible. Definitely my second priority of this year, right behind Mr. Dark. I absolutely love him to death. Definitely one of the best Scarecrow props we've ever seen, in my opinion. And Tekky Toys, just keep killing it with the Scarecrows. I'll buy every single one you make as long as they're as incredible as this guy here. But overall, just really incredible work on Tekky's part. Since I talked extremely long about the Scarecrow, we'll do a 2-for-1 deal here since these are just reskins of each other. So obviously the first one you see, the green version of the witch here. I'll throw the white one up real quick so you can see it. But this is just called Ghost Witch. It's a very interesting prop and probably one of the coolest witch props in my opinion. I love the classic look here. But this is the black variant that we that I'm sure most of you know we've saw at the Halloween and Party Expo from Moore's Costumes, which is really cool. Honestly, probably one of my favorite things there this year. They really were just a really big disappointment, but we'll get into the other expo props later on in this video since their designs have been changed up majorly and they look a lot better from what they did look like at the expo. But anyways, here we have the Ghost Witches. I love the black one so much more than the white one. The white one will be sold at Big Lots this year. I'm not sure where the black one will end up being sold. Probably either Halloween Express or Party City, maybe. I'm not sure, though. Either one would be cool. I really want to see... I think if you just see one in person, you'll know what they both do and look like. But anyways, I think these are probably some of the coolest looking witch designs. I love the pumpkin that they're holding. It's been a mold that Tekky's been using for a while now. I just love the look at that. And it appears to be a flaming pumpkin, just like the one sold at Home Depot last year, which I do own. And they're making new versions of that, which again, we'll get onto later in the video. But I absolutely love it. It looks great. I really want to know what it says and does. But out of both of these, I like the black version a lot better. The green skin just looks really nice on it. And the white version, it's just all white, so there's like not really much to break it up. Like with the black one, obviously her skin is green and she's more of a traditional looking witch, while this one looks like, I don't know, a winter witch or something like that. Really hard to describe what they were thinking making her all white. I honestly don't like that very much. I honestly wish we would just get the black one at Big Lots, but it is what it is. It's still cool to see two variants of this, and overall, they're probably some of the best looking witch props we've seen in years. I love the design. It screams classic Halloween to me, and I'm just really excited to see what it says. Obviously, it has mouth animation, and the pumpkin has that flame effect in the flaming pumpkins. So, I don't know. Just can't wait to see this one in person. Now the next prop we have is called the Rising Ghost Reaper. Now I said I really wasn't doing these in any particular order, but this is another one being sold at Big Lots. This is the third and final life size being sold at Big Lots this year. Promise this is the last one at Big Lots, but here he is anyways. Obviously another reskin of Lady of the Grave. This is probably their fifth one this year. W. Wraith, the Haunting Ghost Bride, him, probably like two others that I'm forgetting about, but they've reskinned this thing to death, but I can't say I don't like this one. I like this one a lot, actually. I think the skull face design here looks really good, actually. The lantern he's holding is the simple techie one, but it looks nice, and I think he will have a really nice effect when you put him out. I'm guessing he'll have the same phrases as W. Wraith from Spirit this year. It would make sense since they're both male ghosts like this, and I wouldn't really see them using any other phrases. But overall, I think his design is really cool. It's pretty simple, and it's probably going to be $100, just like the Haunting Ghost Bride at Home Depot this year, since they're basically the same prop, just reskinned. And yeah, I think this one will go nice in any graveyard scene. They've obviously used this mechanism to death now. They made so many this year. I understand why they're doing it. They just really could fit so many props onto this mechanism as seen. And overall, I like this one. Definitely one of the better ones. Probably my favorite still is W. Wraith, and then this guy, and then the Ghost Bride, and then last Lady of the Grave. But overall, I like this one a lot, and it'll be nice for if he's only $100. Now that we're finished with all the Big Lots props, let's move on to some of the more exciting new stuff from this year, being the Exterminator. Now, this guy, right off the bat, definitely one of the most creative and memorable ideas they will probably ever have. I absolutely adore this guy. Definitely my second favorite out of their entire lineup this year. Even though I don't plan on getting him since I really have no place to put him in my yard display, he's still absolutely one of the best from this year. So let's kind of break him down here. Obviously, he resembles an undead exterminator, judging by the skull that lights up in his mask. And I'm guessing he'll just have side-to-side animation with some really cool sound effects and breathing sounds. And obviously, he has an awesome gun in his hand that will be pretty much burning everything down to the ground. I'm guessing it's a flamethrower, which is just so incredible. Definitely one of the coolest sci-fi prompts we've ever seen. I know so many people will love him. I've already had a few people tell me how awesome he is, and I can't see that they're definitely not wrong. Easily one of the coolest sci-fi props, one of their most unique props, I have to say, as well, and I just cannot wait to see it in person. Hopefully they have a fog machine attached to it in every store. I believe this one will be sold at Party City. Like I did mention in the Party City video, I'm pretty sure he will be sold at Party City this year, so please, Party City, set him up with the fog machine, because otherwise it really will kind of break the effect a little bit, but if he is attached with the fog machine, it will look incredible, and I cannot wait to see this one. Next up, we have a clown animatronic from Tekky, which is extremely rare, but this guy is called Giggles the Clown, and I believe he will be sold at Party City again. Pretty much 99% sure he will be, but still, there's really nothing on their website pointing to it or confirming it, but again, most likely he will be sold at Party City this year. Now, this is Giggles the Clown, as mentioned. He looks great. Tekky hardly ever makes clowns. This is probably like their third or fourth life-size clown. And even though they might not have the most experience making clowns, whenever they do make a clown life-size, it is always awesome. Dead humor especially, and this guy, it seems he'll be a jump scare clown as well. I'm guessing his arms will probably start out around his side or something, or like kind of down by his side, and then he'll probably jump up a little bit and his arms will pop out from his side, which probably will be an awesome jump scare, and I cannot wait to see him in person if he is sold in person at Party City, which I can only pray for since obviously this guy looks great. And for his overall design as well, I think he does look fairly creepy. Tekky, not really experienced with making clowns, but whenever they do, it's always great. And I'm really excited to see Tekky kind of dipping their toes in the water with another clown life size. And I think this one will definitely be a big success for them. And I can only hope they don't go overboard with clowns like SVI. But I don't know. This one looks like another great addition to the lineup this year. Very rare that we see clowns from Tekky Toys, so when we do, again, it's really exciting. And I'm sure this will have a great jump scare, great phrases, and just great animation. And again, he looks fantastic, so really excited to see this one. Next up, we have another one of the coolest life sizes Tekky is selling this year, being the Hunchback Fogging Reaper. Now, easily, this is one of their biggest props they ever made. I believe he's almost 7.5 feet tall, which is crazy, and he just looks incredible. The fog effect here will probably look amazing, very sinister, and I think his overall design, he just looks massive, creepy, and I love it a lot. I love how his back is hunched over like that. It just looks incredible in my opinion. One of their best props from this year for sure. I like him better than Giggles. Not as much as the Exterminator though, but he's definitely one of the coolest that you could put in your yard this year. I'm sure he'll be extremely massive. I'm guessing from this he'll probably be like around the size of Crouchy even, like how his proportions are. His hands will probably be massive. His head will probably be massive as well. And overall, just one that will definitely need to be sold in stores because I really just want to see this guy. I'm not sure where he's being sold. Probably a possibility he could be sold at Party City. And I'm guessing he'll probably be around $300 to $350. Really expensive, but I think for what you're getting here, it could be worth it for some people. Not one I want, but I'm pretty sure if you put him in any graveyard scene or any scene in general, he'll just look amazing in your front yard, and he'll be towering over everything, I'm sure of it. Definitely one of the largest and most sinister Tekky props we've seen. And I just want to touch on his detail real quick. The face looks really cool here, but I feel like, again, with a lot of Reaper props, their detail is lacking when it comes to their clothes, and here is no exception. It's just one big black sheet, which is a little bit disappointing. And I think it would have been cool if he was maybe holding something as well, but I feel like that would jack up his price a lot because we don't even know what it is, but I'm sure it's going to be very expensive. But nonetheless, I love it. It looks great, and yeah, cannot wait to see what this one does. Now moving on to some of the Expo props from this year. This is, I believe she's just called the Crawling Girl or like Crawling Death Girl or something like that. But when this one was shown at the Expo, obviously it was one of the worst looking props from this year and really made me worried about what Tekky will look like this year if they were following the same path as Jemmy. But luckily, now that she's been finalized and stuff, she looks so much better than what she originally looked like. I think this one is still alright in my opinion. I don't like it very much, but it's a huge improvement from what it originally looked like. The lack of detail in the original one, she's basically just a sheet with a head and hands. Really disappointing there, but now I think she is a pretty serviceable prop. Definitely still not the best, and she's basically just using Bloodthirsty's Betty animation, but on the floor, and I don't know. Still not a very big fan of this one. I think there could have been a lot more done with it, and I think this one is just like one of the most meh props from Tekky this year. Probably my least favorite life size from them, but I'm happy they improved it a lot, and I think it looks miles better than what the original one looked like. Next up, we have the redesign of the Lunging Pumpkin Carver as again shown at the Expo, and this one still looks the same as the Expo, but I honestly like it a lot more than the original. The face looks a lot like Levitator Girl, and I have to say it looks a lot more creepy and uncanny looking, and overall, I think it's a better prop than the original. It doesn't talk before it jumps out at you, which obviously makes the jump scare a lot more effective, and overall, I think it's better. It's a lot more bloodier, and yeah, overall, I think it's pretty cool. Definitely better than the original. I know there's going to be a lot of people who hate me for saying that, but in my opinion, I think it's better. The final expo prop we'll be talking about is the remake of Rosemary, and unfortunately it doesn't look like she'll be getting fixed with her looking like a pole issue, since she doesn't have a shoulder bracket, which is still really annoying that they never fixed that, so I doubt this will sell well. It looks really stupid without a shoulder bracket. It just looks really dumb, so it's very unfortunate to see she's not going to be getting fixed, but I don't know what I really think about this one anymore. At first, I liked it more than the original. Now, not so much, since it doesn't seem like she's gonna get fixed. And yeah, in all honesty, she kinda sucks. Now for the last life size we'll be talking about, the new and improved jumping spider. Now this definitely has to be one of the best improvements that I've ever seen on a prop when they got like a new version of them. And it finally, for once, looks like an actual spider. And I absolutely love the way this one looks for sure. The other ones, they've always looked like a fluff ball with legs and two lights on the face, and the center always looked like a nose or something. I don't understand what they were thinking with the original design, so I'm finally happy to have a jumping spider that looks like an actual spider, and it just looks great. I really love the face on it. It's very detailed. It looks like an actual spider with like fangs, and the legs look great as well. The body, it's a little bit disproportionate with the head, but I'll let it slide because it looks fantastic in my opinion. Original one is really nothing compared to this, and I love this one so much more. I hope they cancel out what the original ones look like and just switch to them looking like this from now on. That would be great in my opinion. And yeah, I hope Spirit eventually picks up on these instead of using the old one still. I'm not sure why they didn't get the new one for this year, since it is the Jumping Spider's 10th anniversary, which it's been crazy since it's been sold at Spirit from the very first time it was available. So that's the longest consecutive sold prop at Spirit. Every year they had the Jumping Spiders. And yeah, they're their best-selling prop of all time, so I'd love to see them move away from that original design and just stick to this from now on, because in all honesty, it looks great. Since we're finished with the life sizes, let's move on to some of the 3-foot characters and tabletops now. This guy is called the Ghost Boy, and he's pretty okay in my opinion. I believe he's going to be sold at Big Lots for $40, which is a pretty nifty price for this guy, considering most 3-foot characters are only sold for $40, and I think he is really cool. Other than that, there really isn't much to say. He holds a glowing pumpkin, his skull face obviously glows, and it kind of looks weird in my opinion. I think if it was just like a normal ghost, instead of like being a trick-or-treater or whatever, dressed up as a ghost, it would look a little bit better. I don't know, it's kind of a weird one to me. I still think it's cool to see that Big Lots is just getting so many like semi-life-size props and life-size props, and it is cool to see this one, and I cannot wait to see it in person and really see what it does and get a good view of it. I'm sure it'll look great, and at night you'll definitely be able to see that whole skull glowing through the sheet there, and I think it's a pretty nifty idea. I think if they maybe spent a little bit more time designing this one and really thinking it through, we could add something a lot better here, but for what it is, I think it's alright. The next 3-foot character we have is the Twisting Zombie. I believe this guy was at the Halloween and Party Expo from Moore's Costumes as well. This guy I'm not really that big of a fan of. His animation is really weird. I unfortunately don't have a video of it right now, but he kind of just like moves from side to side frantically. I don't know, I think it's fine. It's a little 3-foot character. It doesn't make much sense for it being a zombie though. I don't know, not a very big fan of this guy. I like the Ghost Boy a lot better than it. I'm not sure where this guy's being sold or for how much, but I don't know. If you manage to get this guy for like $20 or $40, I think he'd be worth it there, but other than that, he's not really great. Now we're going to be moving on to some of the tabletops and yard decor, but here we have 2 new versions of the Flaming Pumpkin. Now again, I have the original one sold at Home Depot last year, and I believe Menards the year prior, but I absolutely love Flaming Pumpkins. They're honestly one of the coolest Tekky Toys items released in recent years, and I really hope they start using them on life-size props, which they really haven't used yet, but they'll definitely start using it soon, I can imagine. It's such a cool effect. But here we have 2 new versions of it. Both of these guys will be sold at Home Depot this year, as I'm sure a lot of you have already saw, since I did kind of talk about them a little bit, but we get them in a lot greater quality here, and I absolutely love the way these look. I'm going to be honest, I like these designs better than the original one, and I really can't decide on which one I want to get. I only really want one, since all I really need is one, but I may get both. I don't know. I believe they're only like $17 each, which is pretty good for them, but I have already went so much for this year, so I'm really going to have to settle on one. So let me know which one you think I should get in the comments below. I kind of like the taller one a little bit better. I think the face is cooler. The detail is a lot better there. But I do like the kind of like the more roundish one as well. Overall, I think it's great. I love like the kind of like the stitching effect in their mouths almost. I really don't know what you call that. Maybe it's like their vines stitching their mouth together. It looks really cool though, and I absolutely love it. Definitely going to be copying one of these guys this year. I love to see more flaming pumpkins, and I really hope they start using this flame effect on life-size characters. Again, just looks so great. Continue making these guys, Tekky. I will definitely buy them. Next up, we have an interesting tabletop, to say the least, but I believe this guy is called like Bubble Bath, Cauldron, Skeleton, or something like that, and I think it's pretty cool. I believe there's a mister inside of it where you'll just pour liquid or water or whatever they want you to use in there, and it'll create a misting effect, which I think will be pretty cool. I don't really care for this one too much. I think it's just kind of a silly, fun little decoration to have. Not one I really want. I'm pretty sure he's going to be sold at Party City, but I could be wrong about that. I think he's just fine. There's really not too much special about him, but I do think it's a funny little tabletop prop, and I'm sure it will have its fans. I just don't really like it that much. Next up, we have this crow on a skull tabletop prop. And right away, this looks to be a clean ripoff of the Pan Asian Creations one, but I'm going to be honest, I like this one better. It just doesn't really make sense to me how the skull is so small here, it being a human skull and all. I'm not sure how big it'll be in person. Maybe it'll be like an actual size and this crow is just gigantic, but I'm not sure yet. But I think it looks really nice. The detail looks amazing here. I'm guessing the crow will have animation and maybe say something or just squawk, which I hope, because the Pan Asian Creations one has the most ridiculous, stupid phrases ever. And with that, I guess that's really all I have to say. Not much going on here. I think it's all right. Just another tabletop from Tekky. Not one I'm interested in. I really don't have a solid opinion on this one. Either way, I think it's okay. I can't really consider this one a tabletop or a life-size animatronic, but I'm just going to call it like yard decor. But this is a dragon street lamp, which I think is actually pretty cool. If you're going for a medieval theme, you can maybe get 2 of these and set them up on a walkway. I think they're all right. I'm not sure why this is the only one they made. I feel like they would have a few in like a series, but this is the only street lamp they have this year. It's a dragon one. I'm guessing they're maybe testing the waters to see how these will sell. And overall, I just think it's fine. I'm not into the dragons or medieval stuff, and it doesn't feel very Halloween to me. I'm not sure what the effect in the actual light itself will do. It looks like it'll have some sort of flaming effect, but I'm not sure. I think it's just alright to put outside if you're into that kind of thing. Personally, I'm not, but I'm sure it'll have its fans. Just not a big fan of this one. The next tabletop prop we have is unfortunately one of the weaker ones for this year. I'm not a very big fan, except for that awesome skull design, which looks like it will have that flaming effect. But other than that, it's really not good. It's some sort of spell book, I guess, and it doesn't make sense for a hand to pop out of it either. I'm not sure why they decided to do that for its animation, but whatever. I don't really care for this one very much. I doubt it will have many fans. It's just really weird, basic, and I don't know. I wish we got that skull design on something else because it looks awesome. It's unfortunately that it had to be wasted on this, but I don't know. Not very good in my opinion. I think this next one here is honestly really cool. It being a snake wrapped around the skull. It would have worked great at Spirit last year, but unfortunately 1 year too late. I believe this one will be sold at Party City, and overall it's just really great, really detailed, and honestly a really cool design. I'm not sure what animation it will have, if any, but I don't know. Again, I think it looks fantastic, just really detailed. I like the lights in the eyes there too, and overall I think it's really cool, and if you have a phobia of snakes, you're definitely going to want to stay clear of this guy. Here we have 2 honestly really cool tabletops in my opinion. I think these both look honestly really cool. These are the Witch's Brew stands. Now, I believe the green one was sold last year. I could be wrong though, but they made a new listing on their website. So just in case I'm wrong, I'll be talking about it here. I'm going to be honest, I like the purple one better. I think it looks cooler. I like the glow from it. And I think both of these would go good with any witch or on a wall somewhere if you're doing a theme like that, or maybe even in your kitchen. I think it would look cool. Overall, I think these are both great. There's so much detail packed in as with all these pretty much. There's just so much great detail. And yeah, overall, they're pretty cool. Now we come to a very interesting set of products in the Tekky lineup this year, but these are hand sanitizer coverings, which I can't say is a bad idea considering the current circumstances of the world. But I do like these a lot, actually. I'm guessing they will all light up and maybe say something. I really want to get that pumpkin one. The other ones look great too. And yeah, I think these are just a really clever and cool idea, and I'm sure they'll probably be worth something in the future since hardcore Tekky collectors will probably buy the whole series. And I'm pretty sure this will probably be the only year they're sold because of the current circumstances, obviously, of the planet right now. But I like it a lot, to be honest. They're a cool idea, and maybe they'll continue making more. Probably not, though, as I mentioned, but I like them. I think it's a very clever idea, and they'll probably be a good collector item. Next up, we have a new candy bowl this year called the Electric Candy Bowl. Now, there was a demo video of this one released. You could check it out on Tekky's YouTube channel. But all you do is you just stick your hand in it, activates, and it makes loud clicking sounds. And the two, I guess you would say, Tesla coils almost on the top will light up and flicker. I don't know how I feel about this one. I think it's just a fine candy bowl, not too much interesting. I honestly feel like some of the cheaper ones, so the other places are a lot more interesting than this, but I think it's all right. Not too much else to say here. It's just fine. The next thing is definitely a very big step away from what Tekky normally does, but it's this neon LED bat sign, which I think is pretty cool. Tekky hardly ever does lighting, so it's very interesting to see them making this, and I'm really not sure why they made it. It's the only neon sign like this they're selling. It's not in a series, which would make more sense to be in a series, but I really don't know what's going on here with them just doing one-offs like this, which feel like they should be in a series. It does look like the wings will go from being in those two different positions to make the illusion that its wings are actually flapping. And I don't know, I think it's fine. I'm not sure how big it'll be, and it's okay in my opinion. It's really interesting to see them starting to do lighting this year, which is weird, but I don't know. I think this one's fine. The next item we have is a bit of a goofy one, being the outhouse Reaper. Last year we had a mummy, and this year it's a Reaper inside a mausoleum, which is pretty funny. Obviously, he farts, he pops out, and he says a silly phrase. This one was already showed off at a few Cracker Barrels, I believe. I guess that's where he's being sold this year. I don't know if he's being sold at any other stores, but it's fine in my opinion. It's not very special. A goofy tabletop indeed, and just not really my cup of tea. But I do think it's nicely detailed, and it's kind of a funny, goofy thing to have. Now we've come to our final set of tabletops, or tiny little figures, I guess you could say, being these new squeeze guys. Now, I'm assuming these are all made out of like rubber or something, and there's probably like a button in them. You squeeze them, and then they make a sound and light up their eyes, obviously. Now, I'll break each one down. Starting off with the Grim Reaper, he's a little bit weird looking with his scythe, but I can't complain. I think it looks alright. Next, we move on to the Mummy. I don't know how I really feel about this one. The position he's in is kind of weird, but there's some pretty good detail there. Not the biggest fan. And then next up, we have the Frankenstein one. I'm actually a really big fan of this one. Could be a potential purchase for me. Not my favorite, because the Wolfman next up, he is absolutely my favorite one here. I love the design he has. I love the position he's in, and definitely the one I want from this line if they are for a pretty good price. They just remind me so much of when I was little for Halloween, how our schools or whatever would give us like gift bags, and there'd be a little bunch of Halloween trinkets in there. This reminds me of something like that. So these guys bring me an odd amount of nostalgia, even though they're brand new. And I honestly like them. They're very classic looking, and I'm sure they'll be pretty cool if they make more in the future, which I'm guessing they definitely will, since this feels like this will be a line that they'll carry on for a while if enough people buy them. So I'm definitely planning on getting the Wolfman guy. They're probably really tiny and probably really cheap, so definitely going to be able to fit this guy in my budget for this year. And yeah, it's pretty exciting. I like these a lot, more than most people would probably think, but yeah, they're pretty cool. Alright everybody, I just want to take the last few minutes. I understand this is an extremely long video, but just stick with me for a little bit longer here. I just want to really recap and just overall think about this lineup for this year, and just get a grasp on how many new stuff Tekky has given us this year. First of all, this is like probably the first year where they've given us over 40 new props, which is insane, and I honestly love most of them. This is probably their best year to date. I know there's so many classic Tekky props that probably beat a lot of this, but there's just so many good ones this year. I feel like it all adds up to being one of their best years yet. I honestly love a lot of the tabletops. Every single life size this year is absolutely incredible from them. There's not a single one I don't like. I think all of them are fantastic. My favorite, again, is definitely the Scarecrow and Mr. Dark. But remember to check out my Party City video as well, because I didn't even touch on all of them here, which is honestly crazy. I did talk about a good chunk, or at least a few more life sizes in that video, so I highly recommend checking that one out as well. And overall, I think this is Tekky's best year yet. So be sure to like and subscribe, and I guess let's cut to the outro.
Well, everybody, that's it for today's video. Please let me know what you guys think of the Tekky Toys Halloween 2021 lineup in the comments below. I know there are so many people that absolutely love Tekky this year. This is easily their best year yet. Out of all their classic props, I have to say this year brought the most to the table, the most new concepts, the most new designs, and pretty much there's not a single bad prop in their lineup. I love all of it this year. So everybody, be sure to like, subscribe, and check out the merch in the description below, as well as my Instagram. And as always, this is the Pixelated Pumpkin, signing out.